Daksh application. We regularly conduct this session for the supervised entity users to walk them through different features and functionalities of the application which are available. And before we start, there are certain rules which we usually follow. First of all, we do not allow the users to unmute themselves. As you can see, there are lots of users joining, and instead of taking the questions verbally, we prefer taking the questions in chat. There are different reasons for that. First of all, if we take the questions over chat, then one person can ask as many questions as the user wants. There is no restriction on how many questions you want to ask, and also covering the features and functionalities, why it is required, what RBI is planning to do with this application, and what are the roles and responsibilities expected from the supervised entities, especially the base layer NBFCs. And after that, we will walk you through all the modules, all the features, functionalities which are present for the supervised entity users. And at the end, we will discuss various operational instructions, operational guidance, which are applicable to the NBFC base layer users. So the first thing is the purpose of this application. Why is this application needed at all? Because in absence of this application, also the supervisory functions which RBI undertakes, those are very conveniently being handled through email. Now, email is a very sophisticated, very well-known tool for communication. But as far as institutional memory is concerned, any application is better than email. So this Daksh application has been envisaged to be a workflow management tool for the supervisory functions. Whatever supervisory functions RBI undertakes, for example, inspection, then compliance, then uh, dealing of certain systemic issue related complaints, ad hoc data gathering. There may be some incidences of cyber fraud report, cyber incident reporting, or payment fraud reporting. So all such supervisory functions of RBI, not only for base layer NBFCs, but for all the UCBs, all the commercial banks, all the middle and upper layer NBFCs, for all the supervised entities across the country, these functions are now being executed in Daksh application. So this application is built in such a manner that whatever workflows we are doing, we means RBI as well as the supervised entities in a overall the Indian financial system. This application is capturing those data. So this serves the purpose of institutional memory both at RBI as well as supervised entity. Since this application contains this much super confidential data of your financial health, of your financial activity, that is why we have implemented secured access. There are plenty of measures which we have taken. First of all, we have introduced two-factor authentication, which is very basic, very common for any login nowadays. Through one-time password, your authentication will be validated. And once you successfully log in, then the second step is role-based rights. Role-based rights means mere onboarding in this application is not sufficient. Each and every user needs to have certain roles. Only by virtue of those roles, the particular user will be able to view certain information or take part in certain workflows. So just by being able to log into the application, the user will not see anything. Specific roles will only enable that user to access different information. Since RBI as well as the supervised entities are now communicating over this application itself, it gradually becomes a single source of all the supervisory data which are required by RBI also at the supervised entity. Say if you want to know which information we had submitted to RBI on this particular point 1 year back, you need not browse through hundreds of emails. The application will contain all those data, and it will be time saving for all the users. So RBI and supervised entities are on a common platform. And in case this, since we have built this application as a workflow management tool, we have also implemented multi-level approval facility. Multi-level approval facility means each and every workflow in this application is governed via maker and checker. One person. This is a very common terms. So these are very common terms in our banking practices. The maker and checker. Reviews and approves that workflow. So for each and every workflow, at least two different users are required in this application, both at RBI as well as at the supervised entity. Now, in addition to that maker checker workflow, there is another third workflow that is called higher authority approval. So this higher authority approval workflow is optional. In case if the checker user thinks that I do not have the authority to approve the transaction, or say to finally submit the information to RBI, I need one more additional layer of approval. The user can send it to the higher authority user, but that's an optional. Now, as far as base layer NBFCs are concerned, usually the size of the base layer NBFCs are very small. Hardly 2 or 3 users are associated, maybe maximum 4. So for all the base layer NBFC users, we have given by default, we have given the roles of maker and checker. Okay. Now let us move forward. I will explain in detail whatever basic things maker role, checker role we have discussed just now. We'll explore it in detail. But before that, let us have a look on the home page, the login page, rather the login page of the application. This word, this nomenclature of this application, Daksh, it's a Sanskrit word which means competent, expert, efficient, and it reflects the capabilities of the application. It's an internet-facing application which is available over the URL https://daksh.rbi.org.in. It can be accessed via any browser. As far as the view compatibility is concerned, the Chrome browser works the best, but you can access it through Microsoft Edge, through Firefox, through any browser from anywhere, from your office, from your laptop, from your home. You can access it from anywhere. Now, when you are going to log in, the username needs to be the complete email address provided during user onboarding. The complete email address means both the prefix and the suffix, both the portions before and after the @ sign. The complete email address needs to be given in the username. And the second point is very, very important here. Password is to be created by the user. So there is no concept of default credential in Daksh application. There are lots of mails which we receive from the supervised entity users that I have received a SMS that my account is created in the application, but I have not received any password. I have not received any credential. So let me reiterate this point. There is no concept of default credential in the application. Daksh team is not going to send any default password to any of the user. The user herself creates the password during first time login. So we'll walk you through how that exact procedure is done. So when you are going to create the password for the first time, you need to give the captcha as well. And your password creation as well as any subsequent login attempt needs to be validated through the one-time password, which would be sent to the registered mobile number. One user is uh, indicating the audibility clarity. Am I clearly audible to everyone? Am I clearly audible to everyone? Okay, thank you. I guess you might be interested in increasing your system volume. Rest of the users are confirming it's loud and clear. Thank you. So, in course of doing the workflows, doing the performing the transactions in the application, in case if you in case if you face any issue, or if you have any doubt, if you have any query, we suggest you give us emails instead of phone calls. Of course, phone calls numbers are there, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. There are phone numbers given, but see, these phone numbers, this couple of phone numbers are now used by more than 25,000 users from across the country. So chances are there that you might be waiting for your answer to be resolved via phone call. So we always advise the users that instead of waiting for the phone call to be picked up and answered, you please send us specific emails. So because official correspondences bear more importance. And while sending such emails at rbi.org.in, operational and technical queries, any issues, whatever you want to highlight, you please send the mail to Daksh support mum@rbi.org.in. That is Daksh operational support. And always mark a copy of email to daksh@rbi.org.in. There is another point for WAF related errors. You need to send a mail to another mail ID. But once we discuss the WAF related error, I'll detail about the secondary email ID, that is the support NGP. For all the other cases, you please mention your queries to Daksh support mum@rbi.org.in. And while sending such emails, please do not forget to attach the screenshots from the application, because the more specific you can be, the better will be for our support engineers to resolve the issue. Please be specific. Please do not send any generic mails like Daksh is not working, I am not able to see anything. The exact workflow that you want to take part, the exact page where you are looking for certain information, if you can mention that, uh, if you can attach one screenshot of that particular page, then the support engineers will readily be identifying the issue and accordingly guide you. So please be as specific as possible while you are sending mails to Daksh application. So this is the procedure for first time login. When you are going to log in for the first time, you need to mention the complete email address. You need to give the captcha, as you can see in the security check, and you have to click on forgot password link. Instead of login, you need to click on forgot password. Once you click on forgot password, in the next page, there will be a pop-up for creating the new password and confirming the same. So you need to type your new password. You have to confirm and click on the reset field. Then that particular password needs to be authenticated to the one-time password which would be sent to your registered mobile number, and you can verify it. So this is the process of first time creation of your password, and there is no concept of uh, account default credential. If you want to reset your password, this is the same process. You can reset your password at any point of time following the same procedure. Once we start our demonstration, we'll show this particular workflow once again. Now, this is the change request from which mail ID to be. You can keep on posting your queries here. We will collect all these queries, and once we finish the first module, I'll come with one question and answer session, and there we will discuss. So please continue posting whatever questions, whatever queries are coming into your mind. Please post them in the chat box. So while you are, if in case you need to onboard new users, there is a change request form. We have already shared with it. If you want, we can share it after our session is over. We can share it once again. So this is the change request form, or we call it CRF in our application parlance. This form is something which needs to be sent, duly approved, and sent to the support email ID. Without this change request form, we won't allow any user to be onboarded. We won't accept any request. Whenever you need to request for new user onboarding, or say, for example, user deactivation, then you need to fill up this form and send to us. Okay, and there are important guidelines mentioned in the PDF file itself. Please go through that, and of course, we will discuss those important points here as well. Now, this is the snapshot of all the modules which are available in the application, their functionalities and the rules. So Daksh is a modular application. Modular application in the sense that there are different activities supported in the application, and for each and every activity there is different module. So RBI undertakes different types of supervisory functions. It goes for inspection. Once inspection is over, it issues the action paras. The supervised entities take some action on that and submit the actions taken by them. We call it compliance. So the compliance assessment is also goes. There are complaints. There may be different types of complaints which indicate the possible existence of systemic issue in the supervised entities, and this type of complaints are usually dealt by the SSM teams. Then there may be communication. There may be broadcast messages giving the cyber advisory, cyber security advisory, cyber security alert. There may be some ad hoc data gathering. So all these type of functions are supported through different modules. But most important of them is manages different users in the application. So the new user onboarding, assigning of roles and privileges, deactivation of existing user. For all such facilities, if you need to if you need to onboard new user, or you need to deactivate an existing user, then you need to send a mail to Daksh support anyway. For base layer NBFC users, the Daksh team is the one who performs this user management task. For all other types of supervised entities, bank, UCBs, middle and upper layer NBFCs, they have their own identified admin users, and they are supposed to do the internal management of their resources. But since base layer NBFCs are very small in nature, 1 or 2 persons are there, hardly 3 or 4 persons are there. So for base layer NBFCs, Daksh team does the user management part. So you need not worry about which user to give which type of role. You can simply send a mail to Daksh support mum@rbi.org.in. Next, there is returns module. Returns can be of two types. One is you know, uh, one is statutory return, static return, which is usually triggered in a predefined interval, and the questionnaire also the same for most of the time. And there is another type of return which is called ad hoc return. So usually the systemic returns or the statutory returns are taken in the portal of SIMS. Returns are taken in the portal of Daksh. So what is the difference in ad hoc return? We do not know which type of information is going to be required prior hand. So the requirement comes suddenly, maybe following through some market intelligence, maybe for some survey which RBI is undertaking. So based on the requirement, the questionnaires may also get changed. And since these returns are of ad hoc nature, as and when they are required, RBI call this information. So these are not known prior hand. These are on tap gathering. I need it, so I am collecting it. So ad hoc returns are triggered in Daksh application, and whatever ad hoc returns RBI is publishing to submit information to those return, the supervised entity users need AC returns maker and AC return checker. So this is the largest module. This is the most important module for base layer NBFC users because RBI is floating lots of returns nowadays, and they are collecting information from base layer NBFCs. So this is the return the NBFC base layer users are going to use the most. Next, there is compliance module, the second largest for base layer NBFC users. And in compliance module, whatever action para or whatever inspection report, whatever circular we are publishing, based on that, we ask the supervised entity to submit their position, submit their submission, submit their responses, what actions they have taken, whether that para may be treated as complied or not complied. So there is an assessment of the responses which are submitted by the supervised entities. For supervised entities, the roles which are required to submit the information, submit the responses to the compliance are called AC compliance maker and AC compliance checker. Next, there is inspection module. This is the largest module for RBI users. For supervised entity users, the workflow is somewhat limited. You may be knowing the entities in which the SSM teams visit for the inspection. You may be knowing that before the starting of inspection or even during the inspection, there are certain information which are required by the inspection team. In the supervisory parlance, we call it indent. Say, for example, if a NBFC is giving is a deposit taking NBFC, say for example, the inspection team may be interested in knowing the depositor base. They can ask for the entire list of all the depositors. So these type of information are called indent, which are relevant to a particular inspection. So in inspection module, if the inspection team, it may be the SSM team, it may be cyber security team, it may be KYCML team, whichever team is inspecting your entity, if that inspection team asks for some information pertaining to any inspection, then that is called indent, and the information sought via indent can be submitted by the users who are having the roles of AC inspection maker as well as AC inspection checker. Next, there is CMS portal. But for base layer NBFC, this is of small relevance because very few base layer NBFCs have customer interfaces. What is more important, what is more required is systemic complaint. If there is any complaint against any supervised entity which indicates the possibility of any existing systemic issue, then those type of complaints are called as systemic complaints, and this type of complaints are usually dealt by the SSM teams of the supervised entities. So whenever we receive any such complaint, instead of taking any ex parte decision, RBI always forwards this complaint to the supervised entity to ascertain what is their standpoint, what response, what position, what submission they want to make. So to submit the supervised entities responses, you need to have the roles of complaint clarification maker as well as complaint clarification checker. Next, there is another role which is called communication, and this is a broadcast channel for the RBI users. In a communication module, usually we publish different types of circular, advisories, alert. So the messages on which we are not expecting any response, those type of messages are usually broadcast to the supervised entities. And since last supervisory cycle, quite a few number of SSM teams have started sharing their inspection report with the top management of the supervised entities via communication module. This module is somewhat different because each and every other module, you need to have a specific role to access that module. But even if you do not have any role at all, then also you will receive whatever communication RBI is publishing. So, since for the base layer NBFC users, Daksh team is doing the role assignment, so you need not worry about it. Whatever communication RBI is publishing, any user groups from RBI, whoever is publishing for the base layer NBFC users, you would be able to get that. Next module, which I want to highlight here, is cyber incident reporting, which I had skipped earlier because of its peculiarity. Peculiarity lies in the fact that for all other modules, the workflow starts with RBI. In Daksh application, be it return, be it compliance, inspection, complaint, communication, the workflow, the transaction gets started with RBI, and AC either receives it or responds to it. RBI publishes return, supervised, then only supervised entity responds to it. RBI publishes compliance, then only supervised entity submits their responses. RBI publishes intent, then only supervised entity gives their response. RBI forwards some complaint, then only supervised entity gives their response. RBI publishes some communication, supervised entity can receive it. But for cyber incident reporting, the workflow is started with the supervised entity. In cyber incident reporting, we collect information if there is any unwanted cyber incident in any supervised entity. There is a publicly available RBI guideline on cyber incident, which says that if there is any cyber incident in any supervised entity, then within 6 hours of detection of the same, the entity should report it to the regulator. And while submitting, a few users are saying that my voice is breaking. Is it for everyone? Hmm? If you are saying, okay, most of them say, they are saying clear. Most of them are saying there is no issue. So there might be some network issue. You can log off and join again. Okay. So as I was discussing, there are different cyber incidents. Say, for example, ransomware, for example, malware. There are different other types of incidents also. In the RBI guideline, this is clearly mentioned. So we are not going to describe those incidents here. Which type of incident should be called a cyber incident? We are not going to discuss that in this session because that is out of scope. If you want to have a detailed view on this instructions, you can just go to RBI website and you can download it. For such cyber incidents, if you detect any such cyber incident in your AC, you need to report it to RBI within 6 hours of detection. And while reporting, there are certain information which are collected. For example, what is this incident all about? Is there any functional impact? Is any of the channels, online channels, got down? Is there any financial impact? How much loss was occurred to the supervised entity, or if it is having any customer interface, then whether there was any loss to the customer as well. What are the communicational aspect, whether this incident was reported to the cyber police or sought in under government of India. What are the root cause analysis, and what are the corrective actions, the corrective measures the supervised entity is taking so that the same incident does not take place again in future. And based on this information, there is one specialized group in RBI, Cyber Security and IT Risk Group. They analyze, and if required, they can come up with different cyber security advisories, cyber security alerts, and they broadcast it via communication module to all the supervised entities to ensure market intelligence. So that is how the cyber incident reporting takes place. Whatever I have been discussing during last 10 minutes, this is the snapshot of those discussion, the roles, different roles for different modules and their functionalities. Please remember that for all modules in Daksh, there is an additional optional workflow that is called higher authority for review and approval. So this is all role based. Maker, checker, higher authority, these are all role based. There are different roles for different modules. And for base layer NBFC users, you already were in time of onboarding itself, we assign all these roles. So all the 10 roles which you are seeing on the screen, SC return maker, checker, compliance maker, checker, inspection maker, checker, incident maker, checker, complaint clarification maker, checker. There are total 10 roles, and all these 10 roles are assigned to all the users from base layer NBFCs whom we are onboarding. Next, there are some important concept of roles. First one is one user can have multiple roles. As I have just now said that we give 10 roles to each and every user from base layer NBFC. So one user can have multiple roles in the same module as well as across different modules. And one role can be given to multiple users also. But for each and every workflow, the maker checker approval is mandatory. Maker would initiate the transaction and submit to checker for review and approval. Whereas higher authority approval role is optional. But even though if a user has both maker and checker roles, the user cannot approve her own transaction. That is a very important feature. Please do not think that I have both maker and checker, so I can initiate something and I can approve the same. The system will take care that this is the user who had initiated so the approval must not go to that person again. So minimum 2 users are mandatory for any transaction. And for base layer NBFC users, the new user onboarding or role assignment can be done by RBI only. The Daksh team will do that. But you need to send us the use change request form, which is to be duly approved by some other user from that same organization. And when you are going to send a mail to Daksh support, you have to attach that change request form. So I'll stop my presentation here. Next, we will quickly move to the demonstration part. There are lots of functionalities and features to be not hands-on. It's the return module, because the return module is the most important module for the base layer NBFCs. And as and when we will finish modules after modules, we will take break and question answer session will be started. And there we will discuss whatever questions you post in the chat box.